Welcome to ThrowForward Thursday. My name's Graham Codrington, and this is where we jump into the future, see what's going on there, and work out if it means anything for us today. But at the moment, I'm sure you're aware, we're taking a little bit of a break from our normal Thursday scenarios about the future, because my colleague Buhle Dlamini and I have been putting together a new podcast called the TomorrowToday Podcast, and that's now available wherever you get your podcasts. In fact, this past Tuesday we just released episode 2, and in episode 2 we also include a conversation with the head of our consulting team, Dean Van Leeuwen, and we talk about the future of organizational design. And I think you're going to find this limited series that we're putting together, the TomorrowToday Podcast, Mapping the Future of Business. We're having a look at some of the key characteristics of organizations that are going to be successful in the 2030s. Sounds like a long way away, but it isn't really. And the decisions you make in the next few months and in the next year and a bit are going to set you up for that run into the end of the 2020s and into the next decade. And I think you're going to find it very interesting as we go through each of the characteristics from our research and our experience working with clients all around the world. Into what we've seen is going to be successful. What we've seen will set organizations up to be more adaptable, more responsive to change, more anti-fragile. They need to be bionic and a force for good in the world. And well, those might sound like buzzwords, but we dig into them, we work out what it means, and we help you, especially those of you who are leaders of organizations, to make sense of the future of work. So, I am going to leave you now with a little excerpt from episode 2, and hopefully that entices you to go and find the full episode and listen to it. You can do that right now on any platform of your choice. Just search for the TomorrowToday Podcast. Tomorrow Today is all one word, or go to our website tomorrowtoday.global.com/podcast, and it'll give you direct links to all of the various podcast platforms that are available. So here we go. Have a listen to Buhle Dlamini and myself just having a talk about leadership and what the future of business might hold.
Leadership for the future is not for the faint of heart. and we do know that organizational design is crucial for the success of any organization, because it involves shaping the structure, processes, and even the culture of an organization to support its strategic objectives. Now, with the rapid pace of technological advancements, the changing workforce dynamics, the traditional ways of doing organizational design need to be challenged. And for the most part, what we currently have in terms of organizational design is rooted and based on the world that no longer exists. We've inherited and we've been working in organizations that make more sense 80 years ago than they do now. And because this is what we know, we kind of feel like we're stuck with it.
Yeah, exactly, Buhle. And that, for me, I'm really passionate about trying to help people to understand this. I think we are at a unique moment in history. Well, it's not unique. Every few hundred years, I think, history goes through a massive systems change. And by systems, we're thinking about authority structures and the tools that we've got available, how we set up our economies and our politics. It affects our religions and our cultures. And it's what you study when you study history at school. And I think we're in one of those. I don't know how far into it we are, but maybe here's a quick example, Buhle. Imagine, I'm not saying democracy is the best form of government ever. I think it was Winston Churchill who said, democracy is the worst form of government, except for all the others. So it's kind of where some of us have, in some countries have got to, and there's different options available. But let's say you live and work in a country where you think democracy is a fairly good system. Well, here's my question. Buhle, do any of your clients use democracy in their organizations, in their corporations? Do you have any clients where people vote for their managers, they vote for their salary levels and their bonuses? Do you? I don't.
I would have to say that most organizations, or some organizations, will talk about democracy as if it's something that they do. But the truth of the matter is, I can't tell you of one company where that truly a true democracy is in place, right?
No, exactly. I know some companies have been experimenting with that. So I read a book about 25 years ago by Ricardo Semler called Maverick, and it's a Brazilian company called Semco, and they were experimenting with things. I know that Gary Hamel writes a lot about this, and he's got a wonderful book called Humanocracy. But I think all of these are sort of very much outliers. It's just an example. Yes. In fact, I think we'll come back to these themes in our next episode. But it's an example of what you were saying, that we have inherited a system which was optimized for the sort of late stage of the industrial era. It was designed on supervision, top-down control, breaking up organizations into their component parts. We call those silos now, or functions or departments. And I don't know of too many organizations that are designed around new ways of organizational design, using new technologies to come up with new styles of leadership and management. And that's sort of not a criticism, because it's not easy to do that. But I think the time is now, the time is coming in the next 5 to 10 years when this is going to be the way that organizations deal with uncertainty and volatility and build anti-fragile organizations that can go into the next decade.
Graham, I think 5 to 10 years is too long. This is something we need to do now. We are in that era of growing complexity and unpredictability. And so when you think about that old adage that, adapt or perish, it resonates now more than ever. And so as markets continue to fluctuate, technology advances, consumer behaviors change, the ability for companies to not only perform, but to transform becomes paramount for their survival and success. And so that's why we are talking about this today, because at its essence, when we're talking about organizational design, it should really help leaders to clearly explain 3 things. Number 1, who we are as an organization. Number 2, how we operate. And then finally, how we grow in a changed world that we find ourselves in.
And I think, well, there we go. Just a little excerpt from the full episode 2 of the Tomorrow Today podcast. If that tweaked your interest, whet your appetite, if that sounds like something you'd like to listen to, please go and have a look for the Tomorrow Today podcast on the podcast platform of your choice, or go to tomorrowtodayglobal.com/podcast. And you'll find links there. If you like what you hear, if you enjoy the podcast, please also like and subscribe and give us a rating. It'll take you a moment or two, but it'll mean a hang of a lot to me. And it'll help other people find us. We really appreciate that. As always, thank you for joining me in the ThrowForward Thursday studio. Hope you're enjoying our new offering, and I'll see you again next week.